Everyone is out.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Pro Street Stock Series, sponsored by Tri-E-Coolers. Today, we're at the virtual Kentucky Speedway, where we've got a long race ahead of us on the 1.46-mile raceway for the Street Stock Showdown. No fast repairs, 40% fuel element, and 3 sets of tires behind the wall available to these drivers. My name is James East, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. And tonight we've got Joseph Penn up, acting as race control, getting ready to start the party and making sure everybody is well behaved out here on track today. Let's take a quick look at what the runnings order is going to be as we get drivers ready to make their way out from pit road. Starting on pole is Jacob Feskin in the 926. James SoundCloud Silver starting second. Michael Vandermeet starting third. Travis Sukup fourth in the grid. Jeff Edgar starting fifth. Tyler McRae starting sixth. We got Timothy Johnson starting seventh. Blake the Little Weapon Wim starting eighth. Tyler the Big Weapon Evans starting ninth. Matt Baer starts 10th. John Frawley starts 11th, and that is going to be it for today's grid. So a little bit smaller grid than in races prior, but we're going to get things started as we get them rolled out here at Kentucky. 100 laps, just shy of 150 miles, and what is effectively a super speedway race for these street stock machines. Now, last week it was Blake Wynn bringing home the win at Dover after his brief hiatus. Rumor on the street is Wynn will have a full-time ride with Fastlane Motorsports. I believe I have that correct, or I could be mistaken saying it's Matt Baer filling in for some of the other drivers. It's going to be interesting to see how things shake up with the teams, as we've seen a little bit of drivers being swapped in and swapped out over the duration of this season. But keep an eye out on those two Cornerstone Motorsports cars, the 926 of Feskin and the 17 of Silver, starting side by side in the front row. The second row is Sukup with Droppin' Bombs Racing. He's next to Vandermeet, also with Cornerstone. And here we go to start the main event. Now this is where we're going to see a few drivers try and make some early moves before they go into fuel-saving mode. As already Timothy Johnson up 2 spots in the 553 machine. He's behind the 007 of Jeff Edgar, owner of Fastlane. And here comes the number 45 machine of Sukup. He's linked up with team owner Tyler McRae for DBR. They're trying to get that high line working early on here tonight, but Sukup's already dropped down 4 spots, McRae down 3. And Sukup way up there in no man's land. Gonna be interesting to see what the strategy is. Evans clicks off the fastest lap of the race of 40.43 as he sits squarely in 6th. He's right behind Timothy Johnson with East Action Sports and just ahead of Blake the Little Weapon Win. As up front, it's Feskin and Silver's Vandermeet, 3 Cornerstone Motorsports cars getting in a groove here. Now this will be interesting. Are we going to see any drivers try and make any moves here? Are we going to try and get through the first fuel run single file? As the races have progressed, things have been getting a little bit cleaner as the season goes on. Last week at Dover, no cautions and 13 different lead changes for a main event that lasted just shy of an hour and 15 minutes. as it looks like everybody's sitting nice and square. Evans is going to lose a couple of spots to win, and McRae, as he hops to the outside line, not sure if he just fell out of formation or if there's a bit of strategy there, because up front, Silvers and Feskinen and Vandermeet all still running nose to tail. As it looks like everybody's staying relatively calm here, right as we say that. That is Wynn in the 007, hops out of the groove. Maybe trying to work around Johnson in that 553 machine. Or no, that was Jeff Edgar in the 007, the bright pink 007. Hop out of formation. Now he's side by side with Tyler Evans. I wonder if we're going to see Edgar link up with Matt Baer here, as well as his other teammate John Friley in the 06 machine. Because we've seen the fast lane drivers do some very interesting fuel strategies over the course of the season. Going to be interesting to see if it happens once more. But drivers quickly clicking off laps. Now this race scheduled to take just about an hour and 10 minutes, barring any cautions. But we've seen a pit road calamity strike before, and now we're watching. That's going to be Blake Wynn, the fill-in driver for the number 19 machine, trying to work his way around Timothy Johnson, the 553 machine. Johnson stays linked up in that bottom line. If Johnson can finish fourth here tonight, that will be a career best out of the driver of the 553. As Feskinen tries to get some clean air on his 926 machine, goes wide. This may allow Johnson to squeeze up the inside line. No, Feskinen closes the door, but looks like Johnson has a massive run here, as now Vandermeet and Silvers swapping positions for the race lead. So now Vandermeet up 2 spots, Feskinen down 2 spots. I wonder if these drivers are swapping about for fuel mileage. As right now we're kind of tied for hard chargers. Timothy Johnson and Blake Wynn running 4th and 5th. They're both up 3 spots each from where they qualified. It's always interesting to see. Some of the guys have absolutely fantastic qualifying pace but don't have the long run consistency, and some guys are terrible at qualifying and have long run races that show up out of nowhere. We're going to be very intrigued to see what the fuel mileage is. Now in the past we've seen about 30 laps out of these drivers on a tank of fuel, which makes it an interesting strategy on when you're going to come in and how much fuel you need to save. As the Cornerstone Motorsports drivers of Vandermeer, Silver's, Feskinen still linked up, just clicking off laps here. Ooh, who was that way down low? That looked like it was McRae hopping briefly below the apron. Most likely just trying to get some clear track in front of him and see what's going on. It's a little bit tough when you're running nose to tail to hit those marks time after time. We're running at speeds of around 140 to 150 miles an hour here at Kentucky. And Matt there, the number 16 machine, getting a little bit closer to the back bumper of Evans in the 9. As we check in on your race leader, Vandermeer, just clicking off laps, making it look easy. Now try and take a look back here. I honestly can't remember the last time we had a caution. As last week we were at Dover. Let's see if maybe Darlington may have had one. No, not even Darlington fielded a caution. Didn't have cautions running for... No, I take that back, because next week we go to Watkins Glen. We won't have cautions then. So the last time we've had a caution thrown here in the Pro Series was round 5 at USA International Dirt, which was kind of expected, where we had 7 cautions for 21 laps. And that is the last time, or the first time we saw Blake Wynn make an appearance in the Pro Series, picking up his very first win in his debut. McRae holding on, and look at this. Here comes Sukup out of absolutely nowhere. The number 45 machine charging up towards the front. As a large portion of the field doing some fuel saving, Sukup says, oh, you know what, let's go racing. As he puts a massive gap on the rest of the field, already 7 tenths ahead of Vandermeer Silver's Feskinen. And look at that, already a 1.6 second gap. So that's what fuel saving versus not fuel saving looks like, ladies and gentlemen. As Sukup was able to blast around the field, Timothy Johnson's moved up to second ahead of Vandermeer, Silvers, and Feskinen, who I would assume are a fuel mileage strategy here. As Johnson's going to try and put down the pedal as well to reel in Travis Sukup and maybe have a bit of a battle for the lead, as these drivers are already over 2 seconds away from the battle from third back, where the rest of the field just linked up single file. Here comes Johnson, getting ready to challenge for the lead. Trying to work his way around Sukup. Will Sukup let it have it as they've quickly put a 5-second gap over the rest of the field? These guys are holding down the pedal and making it happen. And we've got more shaking up a little bit further back. Feskinen has taken over the position as third once more from his teammate Vandermeed. As what I believe is happening, these teams are cycling drivers in and out of the top spot to save fuel equally across all their team cars so they can work together. I'm not quite sure if that's the case, but we'll have to get confirmation on that from our pit road reporter. Now the top five is Sukup, Johnson, Feskinen, Vandermeed, and Silvers running out the top five. While a large portion of the field appears to be fuel saving, Travis Sukup and Timothy Johnson holding it down as fast as they can, running almost 2 full seconds a lap faster than the rest of the field. As they have very quickly put a 10-second gap over third place back. So Johnson running a career best second. He's up 5 positions from where he started tonight. Johnson was a bit of a latecomer into the Pro Series, but starting to get things figured out and settled. As, man, look at the gap they've put, 15 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. As everyone else is in fuel-saving mode, Sukup puts down his fastest lap of the race last time by with a 37.93. Johnson masters the pace with a 37.94, so these guys trying to put enough of a distance to the rest of the field to throw off the fuel saving that the rest of the pack is doing. You've got 2 drivers giving it their all, and the other 9 drivers taking it easy and trying to hit their fuel windows. Now is Johnson going to try and battle for the lead? Is he going to be happy staying in the draft of Sukup? Right now it looks like he was looking for an alternative line around that 45 machine, as the 2 race leaders, Sukup and Johnson, have quickly put a 24-second gap on the rest of the field. Johnson looks to the outside line as Silvers and Feskinen swap positions for third. look at that. Timothy Johnson's going to get a lap lead here at the Pro Series for the first time. Well done to the newcomer, the 553 machine. He's not worried about pit windows or fuel mileage. He's out here for guts and glory. And great to see that 553 machine leading some laps for the very first time. Travis Sukup will settle in for second, as these drivers still putting a gap over the rest of the field. Now, if they're able to keep this up, they may be able to put the entire field a lap down. They've got third place, almost 28 seconds back from the race leaders, as Johnson and Sukup running consistently over 2 seconds a lap faster. And we just saw the leader, the rest of the field in front of your race leaders. So let's see, now I'm curious to see, will they catch up to the rest of the pack before the fuel window has opened up? Will it be worth it to hold it wide while everyone else on track is saving? Gonna be very interesting to see. Now, the rest of the field looks like they're getting on the pace now as Blake Wynn sets his fastest lap of the race. So the rest of the drivers third place back, starting to wick up the pace ever so slightly. And very slowly working away the gap that your race leaders, Johnson and Sukup, have. But to be fair, it's almost a 28-second gap that they do have. So I'm wondering if the rest of the field's saying, oh, we do not want to go a lap down here. Starting to step it up just ever so slightly. Now, if these drivers can make it to lap 33, they can make this what should be a two-stop race. As the fuel window officially opened for our drivers out here today. Now, I would imagine it's got to be a two-stop race. Surely nobody's going to try and make it a one-stop. As you see the pack of drivers just ahead of Timothy Johnson, Travis Sukup. That is 8th through 11th place. Silvers, Feskinen, Vandermeet, and Evans. 4 Cornerstone drivers all linked up. While the Droppin' Bombs Racing and Fastlane teammates run 3rd through 7th. And out front, it's East Action Sports being chased by Travis Sukup's Droppin' Bombs Racing number 45 machine. So when are we going to see Johnson and Sukup come down pit road? The answer is now. Johnson and Sukup come in together, while McRae leads a freight train of drivers in 3rd through 7th place. And now 8th through 11th place also comes down pit road. So right now it's McRae, Bear, Wynn, Friley, Edgar running 1st through 5th, stretching out that fuel run ever so slightly. As McRae stepping on the gas, he cleaned off a 37.32 last time by. It's only 1/10 off his fastest lap of the race. So not too bad as he's running out front with no draft support ahead to really squeeze out those little bit faster lap times. But again, only being 700s off the pace, or his fastest pace, not too bad as Matt Bear tucks in tow the number 16 machine. Timothy Johnson makes his way out of pit road after a 55-second stop. Travis Sukup will follow with a 58-second pit lane time. So how long is McRae, Bear, Wynn, Friley, and Edgar going to stretch it out for as they are a lap ahead of the rest of the field, but they have not come down pit road yet. I would imagine they're going to try and run these tanks as dry as they possibly can, so that way their final pit stop will be a little bit shorter to make it till the end, just putting in just enough fuel. As now McRae comes down pit road, Bear opts to stay out, as well as Wynn, Friley, and Edgar. So the 4 fast lane drivers staying out 1 lap longer at least than the rest of the field. And now Bear, Wynn, Friley, Edgar all coming down pit road. So let's see how this is going to shake things up. I believe that may put Johnson back as your race leader, as everybody in front of him, 1st through 4th, currently down pit road. So let's see, right now, Johnson's got a comfortable 6-second margin over the rest of the field. He's looking good here with that fuel strategy, opting to hold it wide and see what he can do. So let's see, Timothy Johnson just clicking off laps, 6.5 seconds ahead of Sukup. Both Sukup, actually no, I take that back. Johnson came in on lap 34, Sukup came in on lap 35. It reads, but I want to say they came down pit road at the same time, so maybe a little bit of a trick with live time and recording that, as one of the drivers had their pit stall after the line. And then it will be a bit of a break back to Tyler McRae. He's 1.6 ahead of Bear and Wynn, as the field relatively stretched out except for 8th place back. Vandermeer, Feskin, and Silvers Evans running in single file formation. All 14 cars matching very well here. As we go back up to the battle for 4th, Matt Bear, Blake Wynn. I say battle, those are two teammates, so they may be opting just to work together in tandem and get that fuel as they try and eke up closer to McRae. As it looks like Bear looking for a way around Wynn here. And up front, Sukup getting a little bit closer lap and lap after making those moves. He's closing the gap quickly, getting almost a second, 2 seconds that last time by. So let's see now, as Sukup really closing the gap quickly. Let's get an eye on his lap times. Last time by, Sukup with a 37.93, Johnson with a 39.36. I wonder if Johnson may be burning up more fuel than he originally planned, as he's running up front kind of in no man's land. Now Johnson is about a lap ahead of 8th place back, so now it'll be Sukup's turn to cut through traffic. I'm wondering if maybe that's what slowed down Johnson slightly over those last couple laps, as he's picked up the pace now that he has clean track ahead of him. Gonna be interesting to see how Sukup navigates traffic here. Sukup makes the line work cleanly around the outside line of all the Cornerstone Motorsports drivers. Checking in on Timothy Johnson, still 3.7 seconds ahead of Sukup. But Sukup's been gaining some ground, a 10th here, a 10th there. And look at this, Matt Bear sets the fastest lap of the race, a 36.91 his last time by. He's tucked in right behind McRae and has Wynn in tow as well. So these three drivers, I should say, might be able to make some moves as this progresses. But they are still about 10 seconds back from Sukup. It's going to be interesting to see how the fuel mileage really pays out today. As we see Sukup and then Johnson way ahead, 4.3 seconds ahead of the second place driver, let's call it 10 seconds ahead of third place Tyler McRae. Johnson just keeping his head down and making it happen, not having any problems out here. And still holding a 5.3 second margin. Now I'm very interested to see how this fuel mileage is going to really shape up. Johnson and Sukup came in around lap 34. The rest of the field looks like they came around lap 38. So maybe Johnson's got something figured out as far as fuel mileage goes tonight, and may try and pick up his very first Pro Series win. Gonna be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Now we're expecting his next pit stop to be around lap 70, and then he should be able to make it to the end of the race on that two-stop race. But right now, tonight, it looks like it's been the Timothy Johnson show, still holding that almost 6-second margin over Travis Sukup. But keep an eye out as this freight train of third through fifth place drivers, McRae, Bear, and Wynn, have all linked up nose to tail. And they're going to try and put the Cornerstone Motorsports drivers a lap down from them, who are riding around in a 4-car pack. But you've got multiple different teams here riding around together, so not expecting to see anybody really do any favors to help their opponents stay in the draft. "40 laps left to go." As the running order is still Johnson, Sukup, McRae, Bear, Wynn in the top 5. And look, a little bit of bump drafting going on there between Bear and the number 16 machine and McRae in the 99. Going to go on board with Matt Bear in the 16 machine. He's just behind McRae. You can hear a little bit of a blip of a throttle from Bear trying to save a little bit of fuel while in this draft train, but I'm curious to see if we can see some bump drafting here in the backstretch as they're trying to pull their way closer to second place Travis Sukup. Not seeing any bump drafting as of yet. I was kind of expecting to see a little bit here. As there's that nose-to-tail action we were expecting. Bear is linked up to the back bumper of the 99 machine, trying to pull their way up front. They've closed the gap slightly to Travis Sukup in second, as now it's 4.6 seconds back from the second-place runners. You see Sukup all up there by himself. McRae wants to get up there and maybe help push his team to a win. I think as soon as you see these guys link up with different teammates, it's every man for himself. And still nose-to-tail action. These guys are on the ragged edge. Just takes one mishap, 160 miles an hour with that bump draft. You don't get it quite square or a little bit off kilter, and it sends the whole standings into a fray as drivers get passed around. Looks like Bear hopping slightly out of the draft, and they're getting a whole lot closer to Travis Sukup in second. But Johnson out front still has a very comfortable 7.7 second margin over second place Sukup. As we expect the fuel window to open up again once more in about 4 laps for your race leader in the 553 machine. These guys just clicking off laps. Timothy Johnson, your race leader, has come down pit road on lap 67. He's going to be looking short until the end here unless he can really stretch out that fuel run in his final sprint of the night. I take that back. 67, that puts him about 32, 33 laps to go to the good, so he should be okay. So Sukup and Johnson will be the first two drivers to initiate their final and second pit stop of the night, as McRae, Bear, Wynn, Edgar, Friley in the top 5 have not come in since lap 38. These are the drivers you can see stretched out all the way to the very end. So that way they can take the least amount of fuel possible for their final pit stop. And look at this, Wynn and Bear going side by side. Wynn and the number 19 machine, Bear, the number 16 machine, swapping spots, but now they're in podium contention as McRae will get some laps led here at Kentucky. Timothy Johnson makes his way out of pit road in the 553 machine, now showing 10th, 2 laps down. But he's got to find Solstice that everybody in front of him, the top 9 drivers, still have to come in at least once more to make it to the end. And now McRae will come down pit road, as Wynn and Bear will take over first and second. Jeff Edgar will take over third place if he does not come down pit road this time by. I would imagine that Edgar is going to stay on the same strategy as his other teammates. And now all 4 of the Cornerstone drivers, Vandermeet, Feskin, and Silvers Evans, come down pit road. So Fastlane takes over the top 4 spots, stretching out their fuel run ever so slightly. So now Wynn and Bear battling for the race lead. Edgar, Friley, and pretty much everybody else has pitted for their final time tonight. Now we're just waiting for Wynn and Bear to make their way down pit road. And I believe Timothy Johnson will be in a good spot here to take over the race lead after Wynn and Bear come down for their final stop. Here comes Blake Wynn, here comes Matt Bear. And now Timothy Johnson getting some more laps led once he makes his way around traffic that's in pit road. Now how much time is Wynn and Bear going to save fueling up here? May be able to save a gallon or 2 on pit road in these street stock machines. That can be quite a lot with how painfully slow it is to fuel these machines. Now Johnson running about 4.2 seconds ahead of McRae, and will officially take over the race lead here shortly as Wynn and Bear still on pit road. John Friley, Jeff Edgar rolling out of their stalls. Oh, I say that. Wynn and Bear may still be ahead here if they can get out of pit lane in time. Timothy Johnson making his way through turns 3 and 4. Oh, this is going to be close. As now Wynn and Bear leaving pit road in tandem. How's this going to shake up? As Johnson crosses the start-finish line into turns 1 and 2, he will be ahead of Wynn and Bear here by looks to be about 4 seconds. McRae still holding on to second. Now Johnson's been pretty quick tonight. His fastest lap still about a half second off the pace of some of the other drivers, but he's been very consistent and led a large portion, if not most, of the laps here tonight at Kentucky, and still holds a very comfortable 4-second margin. So let's see, now McRae gaining a little bit of time. He's a 10th faster than Johnson his last time by. McRae 3.5 seconds ahead of Blake Wynn in third, as Wynn has his teammate Matt Bear linked up with him. The two fill-in drivers trying to make something happen here as we get 25 laps left to go here at Kentucky. Right now it's Johnson, McRae, Wynn, Bear, Sukup the top 5. Johnson still holding a 3.4 second advantage as McRae gaining a little bit of over a 10th per lap on your race leader. This is going to be close to see if Johnson can hold the pace or if McRae is going to find some time to catch up to the 5.53 machine. Because at the current differentials, McRae will find himself about 10 laps short to catch up to Johnson unless Johnson really falls off the pace here, or conversely, if McRae finds some more speed. McRae found 2/10 that last time by. He's catching up and closing the gap to Johnson ever so slowly. McRae giving it everything he can to try and catch up to Tim Johnson. Johnson still 2.8 ahead And McRae knows he's got to put the hammer down because Blake Wynn, Matt Baird trying to catch up in that two-car pack. They're about 2 seconds back from McRae. And the laps are rapidly dwindling to try and make any big moves here. So let's see, Johnson still holding that 2.5 second advantage. Are we going to see a race shape up here at the end? Now keep an eye again on Blake Wynn, Matt Baird. They've been gaining some ground up to McRae, but not a lot of laps left. 17 laps left to go in this main event. Will the two-car pack of Wynn and Baird, two fast lane teammates, be able to catch up and work their way higher inside the top three? Right now, Wynn is in podium contention, but they can see McRae and Johnson just ahead of them. The draft really playing an important factor here in Kentucky. These two-car packs are able to start slowly pulling into the race leaders. Johnson and McRae still 2.3 seconds apart. $16 laps left to go. 15 as Johnson crosses the line. As we check back in with Tyler McRae. McRae running second in the 99 machine. Still about 2.2 off the back bumper of Johnson, but more importantly, he's got Wynn and Baird closing fast. So this is going to be very interesting. Once it's about 8 laps left to go, I think these three groups are going to converge into one, and it'll be a mad dash to the finish line. As we watch McRae, that's what a 1 second gap looks like. Here comes Wynn and Baird. They've been gaining just over 0.2 per lap, while McRae's been gaining about 0.5 over Johnson every time by. Now the question is, who's going to have enough fuel here to the end? Johnson came in early on lap 66. McRae came in on lap 69. Johnson may be close on fuel here. Now if McRae, Wynn, and Bear link up, they should be able to catch the leader Johnson very quickly in a 3-car draft, because we've seen the ground that Wynn and Bear have made riding around as a 2-pack. As they are now within 6/10 of McRae, they'll be picking up that air here shortly. And we're going to have a mad dash of a battle here for the podium. Four-tenths separating McRae from Wynn and Bear. Oh, here we go, a 3-car battle for second. McRae, Wynn, Bear all running nose to tail. Wynn looks to the outside line to try and get around McRae with a draft support of Matt Bear. Now, will this slow down the pace and allow Timothy Johnson to extend that 1.2 lead? Or just hold on to it for as long as he possibly can? As Matt Bear is aggressively pushing Wynn and the number 19 machine up towards the front, making the high to middle groove work very well for those two fast lane drivers. Just ahead is Timothy Johnson, watching this side-by-side battle for third develop second and third, as right now it shows Johnson, Wynn, Bear, but McRae's not going to give up that easy in the 99 machine, riding that inside groove side-by-side with Bear. And yet, Wynn and Bear still gaining ground over Johnson. 8 laps left to go. And things are far from decided here today. We have not had a caution as of yet, but if one's going to come, it'll be soon. As a little bit of wheel-to-wheel action between McRae and Wynn. Still side-by-side in the battle for second. McRae on the inside line, Wynn on the high line. Matt Bear, the number 16 machine, is going to give a good hearty shove to Blake here and try and move him forward. Linked up nose to tail, the bumpers conjoined. That is some absolutely aggressive pushing, as they're going to have to try and work that high line together, as McRae rides very defensively on the bottom groove. And they're still catching up to Timothy Johnson, the 553 machine. Now, who's Johnson going to give his support to? I would imagine he's going to try and link up with McRae here. Or McRae's going to try and catch the draft of the 553 machine so they can have their own 2-car pack and keep Bear and Wynn out of the top 3. And again, Wynn and McRae still side by side, lap after lap. They are about on the back bumper of Timothy Johnson, the 553 machine. Johnson sitting squarely in the middle of the track, not really giving that draft support to anybody. And here comes McRae up the inside line. A little bit of contact into Timothy Johnson. Johnson able to hold it together, but that's going to allow Blake Wynn, Matt Bear to take over the race lead. Absolute heartbreak for Johnson. Five laps left to go. And we're getting word Timothy Johnson is going to have a penalty for speeding the pits after getting the bump. Surely race control will take care of that. As Johnson had nowhere to go on that one. And now McRae still riding about a half second or back from Matt Bear and Blake Wynn, who are linked up very squarely. And let's see, it looks like Matt Bear may be trying to challenge for the lead against Blake Wynn. And what's this? Johnson comes down pit road. On the white flag lap, Johnson's going to serve his penalty. There is no justice in the world for Timothy Johnson, the 553 machine, as he is robbed of any chance of a podium. Side by side, coming out of turns 3 and 4, it's Matt Bear, Blake Wynn, McRae holding on strong. Who's it going to be at the line here after 100 laps? It's going to be Matt Bear bringing home the win. 0.02 of a second over Blake Wynn. And Tyler McRae will round out the podium here today. What great racing amongst these guys. And Matt Bear will celebrate here at Kentucky, picking up a win in that number 16 machine for Fastlane, with his teammate Blake Wynn right in tow. Great racing out of these two, and willing to let it all hang out. Team orders went out the window when it comes down to the checkers. And Matt Bear and Blake Wynn will pose for the camera here today, doing some synchronized burnouts for the fans. We try and get a good shot here. These two just tearing up the grass. Well done to both these drivers, putting on a show. So it's Matt Bear, Blake Wynn, and Tyler McRae rounding out the podium here at Kentucky. Always a good time watching these guys come out and put on a show. On behalf of the Pro Street Stock Series, sponsored by Team Goon Squad, as well as Tri-E-Coolers, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you same time, same place next week. Have a great night, everyone.